Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us. Team Mosso at the 1916company.com is our email address. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to us directly for pricing or info. Team Mosso at the 1916company.com. Today we're discussing one of the best releases of 2018. Now I've reviewed this watch before, but it's been a while. The review format has changed, evolved for the better, and of course we are now the 1916 Company. We love Patek Philippe, so we are wiping the slate clean. We are jumping back to 2018 and revisiting the 5270P, the first platinum version of the 5270 Perpetual calendar chronograph. So this watch is 41 millimeters in diameter, 12.8 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 49.6 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Of course, the Patek Philippe Perpetual calendar chronograph wristwatch series, dating all the way back to the 1518 of 1941, and of course this is the heir to that glorious and long legacy. It's a big watch. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, the down the barrel shot is the definitive one. Now I could probably wear this on a 15 centimeter circumference wrist. It would fit, but I think 16 aesthetically is ideal. So if your wrist is my size or larger, game on. It's a big watch, there's no getting around that. But it is a large watch with grace and nuance in its detailing. Taking a quick look, I'm going to show you the cuff shot one more time because it does have a concave bezel and it will slide easily under a dress cuff. That's an important consideration on a dress watch. That said, with a white metal case and a salmon dial, this can be worn casually in a way that, for example, a full rose gold full bracelet 5270 1R cannot be. So this can be worn a little bit more casually. The strap here is a large rectangular scale alligator leather, large rectangular symmetrical scales, always an expensive cut of the beast. It's glossy, it's medium brown. You can see it features a folded edge, a monotone stitch, calfskin on the bottom, no crimping, no gouging, a brand new Patek Philippe factory strap, pull tab spring bars. You can quickly pop the strap off the case without tools. Outstanding if you want to make a quick swap or clean between these lugs here. You can also see between the lugs, we've got a little top Vesselton diamond. That's between the lugs at 6. That's one of the hallmarks of a platinum Patek Philippe of the modern era. One of the most exquisitely subtle uses of gems, or gem, I should say, on a man's watch. Now here we have the Calatrava Cross. It is the symbol of the brand. You can see it on the buckle. You can see it on the crown. It is a recurring motif. The buckle is closed using a spring-based friction fit system. You can see that we have a little radial spring that snaps into a slot, keeps it secure on your wrist. Platinum like the watch, it's got this beautiful white sheen to it that only platinum has. Taking a quick look at the case, I mentioned nuance and it's got that. You can see a flange adjacent to the sapphire on the bezel. The bezel stepped in from the case band, the lugs fluted and tapered, stepped out from the case band and angled, and then we have a concave bezel all the way around to visually thin the watch. You can see the tops and the bottoms of the chronograph pushers are satinated, but the outer faces are polished. Now, these are rectangular style, a bit of a vintage look, harking back to the 1940s and early 1950s in the Perpetual calendar chronograph series. The dial, salmon, always a crowd pleaser, with a mid to early 20th century aesthetic of the tachymeter scale on the dial. Later on in sporting chronographs, you tend to see the tack on the bezel. Here it's on the dial. We have a combination of pyramid-style faceted, blackened white gold indices, white gold Arabic numerals, then white gold feuille or leaf-style hands with a lancet counterweighted chronograph seconds hand. You can also see we have baton style hands for the sub-registers, and then we have a little bit of a snailing or concentric pattern in each of the registers, which are slightly countersunk. One of the features of the 29535 movement platform is that the counters are always a little bit below the hands at center, so that distinctive feature is here. We have an aperture style day-night indicator, leap year phase, day and month. We have a radial date indicator that's coaxial with the moon phase. It is a perpetual calendar, so assuming you keep it running, it will not need to be reset until the year 2100. The moon phase, with even longer endurance, Once you set it, you need not touch it again for 122 years and several months. Now, it does feature a hacking or stop seconds function. It's a bit of an urban legend that modern Pateks don't have this. You could quite clearly see it does have hacking. It has a column wheel lateral clutch setup, which is the purist's choice, and it's what you'll find on the more expensive Patek Philippe chronographs rather than a vertical clutch system. So lateral clutches and super crisp column wheel action. We also have instantaneous jumping minutes. You can see the minute register right there. Flip it all over. You can see that there is a little pawl and pawl wheel that underpins the jumping of the minute wheel on the chronograph display. So this is caliber 29535 PSQ Petite Seconde, so small second, and Q Quantième, or Perpetual calendar. You could see a black polished and steel capped column wheel, a Geneva style, that has functional roots, as originally the shock to the watch would not displace the levers and the horns from the crenellated towers of the column wheel because of the cap. Today it's just there for aesthetic purposes. Patek Philippe seal, so the watch is accurate to no worse than -3 + 2 seconds per 24 hours. A beautifully decorated, satinated, and beveled steel lateral clutch with golden chaton for the pivot jewels. Always a quirky feature of lateral clutch chronographs. You could see the driving, intermediate, and center wheels all have different tooth patterns. The watch also features a 4 Hz beat rate, 65-hour manual wind power reserve, 33 pivot jewels, a free-sprung 6-position adjusted Patek Philippe Gyromax style balance, which has been one of their long-running mechanical engineering traditions since the early 50s. Gyromax is easier to set precisely and then more robust against shock. Finish, well, we haven't had Geneva seal on Patek since mid-2009, but you could have fooled me. The finishing quality has been continuously upgraded through the years as display caseback watches have gone from being something of an exception to the absolute rule. And with a screwed-in caseback here, we have 30-meter water resistance. We have steel components for the chronograph, satinated on their top and beveled, and then brass bridges feature Côte de Genève stripes across their top and bevels on their side. Locating pins used to locate springs or bridges on underlying platforms. They've all been polished on their top. All screws have been polished to a black finish or mirror finish on their top with chamfered circumference as well as slots, and there is engine turning on the base plate. Everything as good as it gets. If you love this watch, reach out. Team Mosso at the 1916 Company for purchase and pricing details.